This is a before and after. Not the one you think though. I spent a decade chasing the after photo. I lost weight, my skin cleared up, and I was more miserable than ever. It took me years to realize the problem wasn't my body. The problem was I was using self-hatred as fuel, and changing how I looked did not change how I felt about myself. Hi, I'm Daria, and in this video, I won't be sharing a meal plan or workout routine, but I'll be telling you the story of how I reclaimed my self-worth in a society that regularly tells me to feel insecure about my looks. I'll share the story of my body image issues and the mindset shifts that helped me find peace in my own skin, which ironically led to me being healthier and looking better. Also, this video is part of a series that I made to question the narratives that make us miserable, so subscribe if you're ready to break the cycle. I grew up in the 90s in Eastern Europe. Back then, we had a crazy dieting culture and heroin chick was this most desirable, iconic look. There were no requirements for models to be healthy. In fact, the more starved they looked, the better. And there I was, a little hobbit with my 150 centimeters of height, round, plump, pimple-covered face. My height was definitely my biggest insecurity because you can't really hide it. Even wearing heels, I'm still very short. So in a way, I always felt flawed and exposed. The first time that I remember feeling insecure about my body was in primary school. Kids were making fun of my height, so I started feeling self-conscious about it, especially because it's something that I can't hide. I started wearing platform shoes, even to sports classes. You can't really see how short I am because I'm always sitting, but I'm going to show you me standing next to Carol. I am really short, right?
Perfect compact size.
Travel size.
Yeah. I even tried fitting you in a bag once.
And it worked. Also, because I'm short, I gain weight quickly, and that has always been a source of insecurity for me as well. I've always struggled with acne. And I remember when I was younger, adults told me, once you stop being a teenager, you'll no longer have acne. I still have acne, and now I have both acne and wrinkles, which seems a bit unfair. Also, another weird thing about my body is that I have over 30 scars, most of them from me just being clumsy. I have 6 different ones on this leg, but I actually came to like these. I think my biggest trouble growing up was that I never saw around me women who were happy with how they looked. You were supposed to look beautiful and act as if it was effortless, even though it definitely wasn't, which really normalized in my head that everybody has a toxic relationship with their body. And as long as other people find it attractive, it doesn't matter what it's costing you in terms of your sanity, your mental health, or how you really feel about it. Okay, this isn't a PT show, I promise. I actually want to tell you how all the above became irrelevant, even though at some point it seemed impossible. What is more, what was once a curse turned out to be a blessing in disguise. In high school, it felt that the world made it clear to me that I wasn't going to be popular, liked, or successful based on my looks. So I had 2 choices. Keep trying to prove the opposite, which, let's face it, would never work because once you are not cool, you are forever not cool in high school, or double down on other aspects of my life. And that's exactly what I did. You can tell me I'm not pretty all you want, but you can't tell me I'm not smart because that's something that's actually in my control. So I studied. I became like this character called Daria in 90s MTV show. In case you don't know it, just like the character, I made it my personality not to care about superficial things, not to care about high school hierarchies. And I made it look like it was just as much my choice not to be popular as everybody else's. And yes, at first it was definitely an armor for an insecure teenage girl, and it was definitely fake it till you make it, but then slowly it became who I was. It also got me good grades, which got me a scholarship, which was pretty life-changing for me. I guess I felt like being attractive according to Eastern European beauty norms was not accessible to me, so I focused on other things. I built my identity and self-worth on other things not related to looks. I cultivated relationships based on my interests. I looked for role models in other areas of life. I looked up to women in politics, in startups, journalists, poets, writers, and that made me ambitious and hardworking and focused, and these were all very good things for me in the long term. Progressively, I found myself surrounded by people who no longer cared about how I looked. They cared about what I thought and what I said, And that felt liberating. At first, I definitely focused on academics, but then it became other things: yoga, volunteering, traveling. I think as long as you find something that makes you feel fulfilled and confident, you got it. Because these skills, knowledge, connections, no one can take that away from you, and it will not wither with time, unlike beauty, which, according to societal standards, definitely has a bit of a deadline. Okay, Daria, you may say, that is all great, but even if I build my sense of self-worth outside of looks, that doesn't change how I feel about my looks. I don't want to look in the mirror every day and be unhappy with what I see. Yeah, it makes perfect sense, so let's talk about looks. There's nothing wrong with caring about how you look or working on your fitness goals. It's actually healthy. But the problem is most of the change we seek comes from insecurity and self-hatred, at least it did in my case. It took me years to realize that no matter how much weight I lose, how much my skin improves, I will always find new ways to hate myself because my brain was trained to use that self-hatred as motivating fuel. And that is not healthy or sustainable. A simple step that helped me work towards a more positive body image was looking for people I find beautiful who had flaws that I saw in myself. I made it again. I looked at famous people, and I promise you, no matter what you dislike about yourself, your ears, your nose, your height, there is somebody in this world with the exact same thing, and they are shining with confidence and beauty. They are on billboards, they are in movies, and they're not trying to fix it or hide it, whatever it may be. They made it their thing. And then I looked at normal people just around me in the streets and buses, and I quickly realized that beauty and attractiveness does not come in a specific shape or body type. And I saw women with acne scarring, the same that I have, women who are short the way I am, and I saw beauty. And I think that was the first step to recognizing that I too may be beautiful despite my perceived flaws.
So beautiful.
The second step for me was to tangibly embrace how I look and to stop trying to be invisible. And I did that through a bit of exposure therapy. I started taking photos of myself and printing them and putting them in frames, even though I hated doing that. And we started filming little clips from our holiday just for ourselves to see. And I remember when we started doing that, I hated to see myself in videos. So I asked Carol to only film me from the back so you can't see my face. So all the videos we had from holidays were just me walking.
Yeah, could have been anyone.
But look at me now. I'm not afraid to look silly or cringy in videos without makeup for people to see. So I think this transition and journey proves to me that being beautiful is not about looking a specific way, but it's about confidence and not being afraid to be who you are and feel good in your own skin. Recently, I was speaking to a friend who's pregnant. She told me she changed her diet. She brought with her a little box of fruit. She stopped eating in fast food restaurants. I want my baby to be healthy, she said. I don't want to feed it processed food. And in that moment, I thought, wow, isn't it crazy how most women would make that change for their child, but very few of us would make any positive changes for ourselves, including me. The only time I properly paid attention to what I was eating on a daily basis was when I wanted to lose weight, or when I thought my life was in danger because I was diagnosed with an autoimmune condition or I had to do a biopsy to check for potential cancer. It really saddens me now that I think of it that it took a life-threatening condition for me to take my health seriously. When there's a real chance that you might have cancer or any other serious illness, the concern about how your body looks by extra kilograms goes out of the window. And it's very sad but true that the 2 times when I had a proper health care were the biggest turning points for how I perceive my body. And one of them was when I had a pretty serious neurological condition that was first misdiagnosed as multiple sclerosis and then turned out to be chronic Lyme. And I lost a lot of my mobility very quickly, my intellectual capabilities, my physical capabilities. And I realized how much I value my body for what it does for me, not only for how it looks. All I wanted was to walk without pain, to sleep without pain, to do my work without brain fog, without stumbling over words. And obviously, I wish that I didn't have to go through all of this to know this, but this is what it took. And sometimes there are still days when I forget that. These experiences not only made me more health conscious, but also allowed me to discover a new approach to thinking about body. Most of us are familiar with body positivity, which focuses on feeling good and confident about how you look. But I found body neutrality actually works better for me. It acknowledges that it's very hard to always feel confident and good about how you look. It's actually maybe even unrealistic. So instead, it focuses on separating your self-worth from aesthetics and focuses on functionality. To give you an example of how it works in practice, if I catch myself thinking, oh, my legs are very short, they are not a nice shape, they have tons of scars, I reframe that to think, my legs allow me to explore, to do yoga, which is why I love them. Also, body neutrality helped me to find different sources of motivation for exercise. Instead of exercising only to change how I look, I also exercise to have better lung capacity, to have better mobility, to have better longevity, to feel healthier. And yes, I still work out to feel confident and to feel attractive, but I also work out for the health benefits and mental health benefits. So altogether, I have more reasons to exercise and to feel healthy, which is good. Growing up, everyone talked about tips and tricks to lose weight, but no one talked about what to eat for longevity, immunity, or good intellectual performance. Weight was the key indicator for success and health, despite the obvious fact that you can be thin and extremely unhealthy or lacking energy necessary to live up to your potential. We were simply not taught how to measure our health and what good indicators of health are. But there is surely an expiration date on blaming the society or public education system for your own ignorance. It is time I took my health into my own hands by educating myself. I decided to educate myself about my body and how to keep it in good shape with nutrition, with movement, what health checkups I should get when. I learned about hormones and reproductive cycles. I also read a lot about health metrics that go beyond weight. Specifically, I read a lot about cardiovascular health metrics, such as resting heart rate variability, VO2, for example. I read about women's role in history, and I learned about how in the past, we did a lot of things in the name of beauty that were actually very detrimental, if not lethal, to women. For instance, there was this practice of binding women's feet to keep them small, and in the Victorian era, women put arsenic on their skin to be pale, or they used poisonous chemicals as makeup. And that made me wonder if there are things that we do nowadays that we don't yet have scientific data for to know whether they are good or bad for us. So just a reflection. And I want to be fully transparent here. I don't get things right every day. I don't eat a perfect diet every day, far from it. But I keep trying my best. I think it takes a lot of discipline to try and make good choices for yourself. And I read something in this novel called Butter that really struck a chord that was kind of linked to it, so I wanted to share it. It's when one of the characters says that they don't feel like cooking a proper healthy meal for themselves, and the other person in the book responds, I think not taking care of yourself properly is a form of violence. Treating yourself badly is a way of directing your anger at someone. I think it's very important that we treat ourselves with care and love and also discipline, because love without discipline is a form of neglect, but discipline without love is a form of punishment. I remember when I was a little girl and I was told by different family members, you need to suffer to be beautiful. I'm not sure if it's just a Polish thing, let me know if you heard it too. But different versions of the saying were repeated to me many times, every time I complained about having to do something that seemed excessive or uncomfortable. How I wish I could travel in time and pull that little girl aside and tell her, hey, that's a lie, and that's a very hurtful idea. You need to be healthy and comfortable, and true beauty will never require suffering. Remember how I told you that I learned that I'm not conventionally attractive when other kids told me that in school? I think that's the case for a lot of people. We get our insecurities from some negative social interactions. And I think it also happens often that our closest relatives give us toxic body image goals or unhealthy relationship to food. And obviously the media doesn't make it easier. Myself, after a few setbacks on my self-worth journey, I realized that I had to limit those toxic influences. And that meant no longer being friends with some girls who had very unhealthy relationship to fitness and weight loss. That meant unfollowing some influencers and carefully curating my social media consumption. That was step 1. Step 2 was changing how I speak to myself on a daily basis, especially in my head, and not specifically on days when I felt confident and good about how I look, but more importantly, on days when I did not feel like that. What helped me with that was doing loving kindness meditations. There's plenty of free ones online. And I think ultimately, true self-worth isn't measured in how others see us or in some fleeting TikTok trends. It's about choosing to treat ourselves with unconditional love and respect. It's found in our body's strength and health. And once we honor our body with care and respect, that's where we find true and lasting beauty. And that's the real story of how I stopped hating my body. It wasn't about a demanding diet or a crazy workout routine. It was about changing my mindset. I stopped defining myself by looks alone and started building a strong identity based on my character and my values. I learned to find beauty in my so-called flaws, realizing they are a unique part of me. And most importantly, I started to appreciate my body for its miraculous functionality and started to protect it from toxic influences online and in the real world. My hope is that this video gives you the courage to start your own journey, to stop seeing your body as a project to be fixed and to start seeing it as a partner in life, one that deserves kindness, respect, and unconditional love. The journey to self-acceptance isn't easy, but it's the most liberating path you'll ever take.